this is how my 3-ply skeins turned out. And even though I had this wool since October, it took me nearly 4 months to complete. I am not liking the color. So I think that's one thing that I'm learning with spinning, is you might spin something a certain way and may not even like the end product. But we're still gonna knit with this, see how it goes, and I'll show you along the way. Here I have my finished wound up ball that I just hand spun, and I'm going to see more or less what weight yarn this is. So recently I purchased this wraps per inch measuring tool, and here it has a guide as to, depending on how many wraps per inch is what you have spun. So 11 wraps is DK, 9 wraps is worsted. So let's see how much I actually spun. I'm going to not include this part because it's going to be the end, but you want to make sure it doesn't overlap when you do start to wrap it. So that's 1, 2, and you kind of want them as close as possible for an accurate estimate. So I have 9 wraps per inch, and that is considered a worsted weight. So I'm going to try to see what I can make. I'm going to show you the swatch that I made, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And I was inspired by Rochelle, the podcaster for Queen Yarn Boutique. So if you haven't checked her out, definitely, I'll put her information down below and go subscribe to her. She is making the Year Round Popover, and I think that there is a knit along happening or make along happening with the designer. But I decided to get inspired and see that is a worsted weight yarn that it's called for, and to see if I match gauge. So this is the gauge swatch. I did use the recommended needle size, and I did meet gauge for the yarn that I spun. So I let it dry and soak just to see, make sure it was accurate and it didn't grow in the process. But I really like how the gauge swatch turned out, and it's giving me Noro. It's giving me stripes, subtle stripes, and I think it's really beautiful knit up compared to how it looks in this big ball of yarn. And so this is how it looks. I started it today. It's coming out really cute. I'm just concerned that I'm not gonna have enough yarn, but we'll get there. We'll figure it out when we get there. But I'm enjoying it. The instructions are really, really clear and understanding, and I love the way that this pattern is written because it really speaks to my organized brain. It's not so chaotic. It gives you step by step, and it doesn't combine all of the instructions in one long piece. It breaks it out into like a little paragraph until you move on to the next section. I like it because it's so unique, it's so interesting, and I can't believe that I spun this. And it's really cringy to see the mistakes, but also fun to work through them. So you can see, like, these parts, I made a mistake, or the yarn just started to do this weird thing when I started plying it. And I thought that maybe it would be cool to look at it, but right now I have it in the back of the work, so you can't even see it. So I would say if you are a spinner, don't get too caught up on if your yarn looks like this, because I feel like the good thing about knitting is we can hide it in the back. This weird piece, I could probably crochet it to hide in there and no one would ever know. And when you last saw it, I was right here, and this is the progress that I've made on it in 1 week, and it's addicting. It's so fun, especially that I know that I spun this yarn. I couldn't stop working on it. Sadly, I did run out of yarn. This is all that I have left, and I rushed to make another order on Paradise Fibers so that I can get wool to finish this sweater. As you can tell, these are not my colors, so I'm gonna see how it looks at the end, but I do have a friend who's interested if it does fit her once I finish this sweater. So let me try it on for you. So this is how the sweater looks. I really enjoy this pattern, and I did shorten the neckline. I think I was supposed to do a 3-inch, but I shortened it because I was worried about running out of yarn. I ended up running out of yarn anyways. So wish me luck, and I hope that I can finish this really soon because I'm really excited to continue to work on it. My sweater is finally blocked and dried, and I'm in love with it. It's so beautiful. I love the colors of it now. I don't think it's going to anybody but me. And the only downside is I did order another 4-ounce ball of yarn because one sleeve is longer than the other. This one is about 3/4 length, and then this one is elbow length, so I do want to make sure that the sleeves are identical. And then it's a little bit too cropped for my liking. These are high-waisted leggings, but I would like it to go way past my hip area, so probably hitting my hip right here. Last time I said I was concerned that the new wool that I would have to apply wouldn't match, but it actually does match. I think that it's just a little bit more striping effect, and this one's more variegated, and you can see it here as well. But I think it just is a testament that my spinning is getting better. But I love it. This is definitely going to be a staple in my wardrobe. Let me show you the back. I also enjoy the neckline. I feel like it's kind of like a boat neck, so it's a wide neck. But definitely want this to be an oversized sweater that you can wear casually, probably more so in the winter time because it is a little bit warm. And I want it to be about 4 to 5 inches longer than what it currently is. But if cropped is your style, then this will definitely be for you. So we reached the end of the year-round popover spin to sweater series. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to share with you some pros and cons, some tips and tricks, and things that I learned along the way. So first I want to say that I kept saying the fall popover, but this is the year-round popover by Melissa Georges. I also want to correct myself because I said that up to here that I only used 4 ounces worth of wool. I don't think that's true. I think I used 12 ounces worth of wool, and all in all I used a pound or 16 ounces of wool to make this sweater because I am still waiting for another 4-ounce ball so that I can make the sleeves identical and make the length of it longer. I would also say to definitely gauge swatch, and I made a lot of mistakes while making this. It's far from perfect, but I'm so happy with it and it's perfect for me. So I would say that I did a 3-ply from here to here, then I ran out of yarn and did a 2-ply from here to here, and the yarn that I additionally spun, my sleeve, is a 2-ply. The yarn that I'm going to spin when I get my new wool is going to be a 2-ply. So it's a jumbo, it's a mix of 3-ply and 2-ply, so I'm sure from here to here it's worsted, and then from here to here is fingering. There's a lot of mistakes hidden behind this because I was able to crochet them towards the back, like if I overspun, or I think it's called like the curlies or the pigtails, I don't know what it's called, but all of those, they are in this sweater. There's parts that detached from itself when I was knitting that I just quickly made a little knot and kept it pushing. There's parts that were underspun, overspun. So I would say if you are in your spinning journey, don't get caught up on that, because I think the beauty about spinning is that it's far from perfection. It's unique only to you, and the reason why we spin is not to make commercialized yarn. That's what one spinner told me. It's not to make commercialized yarn, it's to make yarn that is unique and special just to you. So when I first started spinning back in I think 2018, I was very hard on myself because my yarn was thick, and I've been watching some of these new spinners that their yarn looks perfect, and I'm like, I'm a little suspicious because that's not how my yarn looked. I don't know if I could find a picture, but if I have a picture I'll insert it here. But my yarn was thick and thin. That thing was not fun. It was so discouraging that I didn't want to spin anymore, and my spinning wheel sat for a long time, and they're expensive to just sit in the corner. So I would say don't let that be the standard, that your yarn has to be thin, that your yarn has to be perfect. It's gonna look chunky, and I will encourage you and challenge you to knit with your hand spun, no matter how ugly you think it is or how wonky you think it is, because it's all trial and error. This sweater is trial and error, and you probably won't see or notice the mistakes that I made. I know that they're there, but you'll probably see and be like, oh my goodness, she made that, like what? So no one's gonna know your mistakes unless you point them out, and don't tell nobody either. So I just say keep practicing, keep trying. Even if you were to make something that was thick and thin, once you knit it up, them things hide. I got thick and thin all in this sweater. So I think the lesson behind spinning is not striving for perfection, embracing the wonkiness and mistakes, and learning to love them through all of that. Because I think as we knit and crochet, we're looking for perfection. It has to be beautiful, it has to be no mistakes. But spinning throws all of that out the window and is like, you're gonna have mistakes, it's gonna look a little but it's special to you, unique to you, and one of a kind as well. So that's my little 2 cents. I would say the only cons to this is making sure that you are ordering enough wool. So if you want to start your Spin to Sweater series, make sure you're ordering a pound, so 16 ounces, or a pound and a half. But the good thing is you can always reorder like I did. But I had to reorder. This is my 3rd time ordering and I had to pay for shipping. So I would say that's just not ideal. So you might want to start off with more wool, and whatever you're not able to spin, you can always spin it at a later time, make it for a different project, or rehome it to someone who's looking to start their spinning journey. Another con to this is stick to 1-ply method. So I told you I started a 3-ply, but because I ran out of yarn, I changed to a 2-ply. So I would say stick to 1, just because the top half of my sweater is thick and then the bottom half is thinner, and I'm sure I threw off my gauge, but who cares about that. So I would say stick. If you're gonna do a 2-ply, do a 2-ply through and through. If you're gonna do a 3-ply, do a 3-ply. I would say with 3-ply, it's definitely gonna eat up more yarn because you have less yardage and you're doing 3 altogether. But that was something I wanted to experiment with. I don't know if I'll do a 3-ply anytime soon, but we'll see. I think one thing that I got really frustrated about was I was so ready to knit and it took so long to spin. So this part took 4 months to spin, and then this part I spun it in 2 days because I was so addicted. I think I don't even want to tell you how many hours I spent spinning. It was a ridiculous amount, like a full-time day of work amount. But I was just so focused and excited to finish it. So spin first before you start knitting, I would recommend. But obviously if you gotta do it the way I did it, it is what it is. And I think maybe try to get all your wool at once, because then your colors, the color batch, what is it called? The dye lot is going to be different. Luckily for me, this is so variegated that you can't really tell. If you spin in one batch or one sitting, then all of your spinning would be the same. But this is definitely different than this because I spun differently. But I would say even this is worsted compared, I don't know. It's an experiment. It's trial and error, and going into spinning, you have to brace yourself that you're not seeking perfection. It's not going to look like a yarn store you just got off the shelf yarn. It's going to be special and unique just to you. So just to tell you a little bit more specifics about this wool, is it was very easy to spin with. This is from Paradise Fibers, dyed in the wool in the Neptune colorway, and I want to say it was 20 to 23 microns. I'll include the right micron level, but when you're a beginner spinner, you want something that's a little bit more toothier, a little bit more woolier, so it's not going to fly out your hands when you're spinning. Some of those luxurious soft fibers are kind of hard to spin with as beginners, so I would say something that's a little bit more scratchier. This is not scratchy, but it's also not the softest as well. I would also say maybe even starting off with the variegated wool, because it's easy to hide your mistakes and it's easy to blend in some of those thick and thin pieces. I think this sweater is supposed to have yarn overs and a special design element because of how this wool is. You can't even see that, so I think it's easy to have a toothier, woolier wool to kind of hide those blemishes. But let me know what you think about my Spin to Sweater series. Let me know what questions you have along the way that I can possibly answer for you. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. I do have another Spin to Sweater coming up soon that I'm posting more weekly, but I've been working on this for a while. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you and your family are happy, healthy, and safe, and hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.